All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another one of my interviews here on Drip Talk with Blake Disnake Roberts. Today, I have a very special guest. He is going to be on for the second time. I had him on a while back. He is a current pro wrestler. He's wrestled for the companies WWE, also known as FCW, TNA, Impact, AEW Dark, OVW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Onoki Dojo, uh, NWA, Chikara, and much, much more. He's been basically almost everywhere at every company to be named, big companies. He is no other than Sinn Bodhi, also known as Kizarny. So we'll get him on in here, and then we'll start on with the interview.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Yes. Thank you for coming on once again. It's great to have you on here.
It's nice to be here. Appreciate you thinking of me.
Yeah. All right. So what have you been up to since the last time we've talked, and what have you been doing?
Um, my wife and I have our hands full with our little funny farm, our menagerie here in Death Valley, just outside of Las Vegas. We've got all sorts of rescue critters here. A bunch of dogs, a bunch of cats. Got a tortoise about the size of a lawnmower. Got a big old giant python that has tagged with Jake the Snake a time or two. I have. We just got three turkeys. We rescued three Thanksgiving meat birds, as they call them. And I was
Okay.
thinking they're not going to be meat birds on my watch. They're going to be loved and played with and petted and fed and nurtured and sheltered. They don't have to worry about being on some fool's plate. And there you go. Um, since I talked to you last, we rescued a bunch of ducks, had a bunch of chickens hatch. We rescued a mini Texas Longhorn, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a
Yeah.
big old steer that's it's like a midget. It's not a full giant steer like all the rest of the steers are like the size of a minivan. Or this little guy, he's a measly 450 pounds. He's like three
Oh
Great
wow.
Danes strapped together, and he's funny. He's like a dog. He has the zoomies. He flomps and prances around and feed him and pet him, and he's a good boy. And yeah, and I got my goats and my chickens and everybody, and a bunch of babies hatch, and they're raising a couple little chicks inside. We named them Hawk and Animal. Um, they
Okay.
were their mom and a couple other chickens were a victim of a bobcat that was around here, and I guess the wildlife control whatever relocated it. And, I can't be mad at it. It's just feeding its cubs or whatever it was doing. So I had to sort of coyote, bobcat, mountain lion proof some of my funny farm a little bit better than it was. So it's like a fortress now. So it's cool. But anyway, so there's my long answer to your short question.
Nice. Yeah, we have a little farm too with ducks and chickens. We just had we had a disabled duck. She couldn't walk
Oh
for
no.
the longest while. We got her from somebody else who had her, and we took her, and she couldn't walk. She couldn't really move on her own. Well, she used her wings to flap and move everywhere she went, but she just passed away the other day from like 2 years of having her. So yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that.
thank you. Yeah.
It's weird. I like people just fine. I'm not an anti-people person, but I mean, if I saw some corpse on the side of the road, I'd be like, well, that sucks. But when I drive by a little like a little roadkill, like a bunny or something like that, or a deer or whatever, I get that wave that kind of goes over my body where I just feel awful. I think maybe
Right.
the difference for me between humans and critters is that humans, uh, they're deliberate. Animals are innocent. Humans not so much. So my empathy extends much further for the critters than it does for people. And there certainly are some nice, wonderful people worthy of anybody's empathy, no doubt, but just some also not so much.
Right.
I try.
All right. You're right. All right. So the first question I'll ask you is, when did you start getting into the wrestling business, and what made you want to do it?
I was a little shy, a little artsy fartsy kid, stuck in a ranch house all by myself, the outskirts of town, too far to walk or anything like that when I was a little kid. So it was me and the TV and WWF, Saturday morning, Sunday morning wrestling, and a bunch of comic books, movies, and stuff like that. So like Spider-Man was my friend, Hulk Hogan was my friend, Darth Vader was my friend, stuff like that. So my imagination was just fueled, and seeing as I don't have any discernible superpowers aside from being really, 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 really good looking, I thought I can be a superhero, but maybe I could be a pro wrestler.
Right. What made you want to put on the big heel character that you did, Kizarny, and then also moving on to Sinn Bodhi?
I mean, it's one of the same, just different versions of me. Uh, I'm an artsy fartsy guy, and I get bored easy, so I'm constantly in flux and constantly morphing. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, you look like Spalding," or when I have long hair and wear the top hat, or "Oh, you look like Rob Zombie." I'm like, "Whoa, you guys really took an artistic leap figuring that one out." But to be honest, I feel more like Ultron, where I am this traveling, orbiting satellite that just flies around the universe and just accrues more and more knowledge of how to be a bigger, meaner opponent the next time around. So there was just always an evolution, always, from day one till now. And I'm sure it'll continue to be. Like for instance, like I never really talked a whole lot about like the animal stuff that I really liked, and I've had a few people say, "Well, aren't you worried about being this big scary guy that's such a softie when it comes to critters, and that gonna like hurt your scariness?" And I think not at all, because I'm not in the ring with cutesy little animals that I would just cuddle to, all day. I mean, I'm in the ring with humans that
Right.
I'm not a big fan of, and I don't mind clobbering. So yeah, or like defending like a critter or a woman or a kid, somebody smaller and more innocent than me. Then I think it's my red-blooded caveman duty to be nice to those that need to be nice to, and be mean to those that need to be mean to. And hence,
Right.
whoever's in the ring, I'm pretty sure they signed on for me to be mean.
Yep. So you mentioned about having a pet snake that you had in the ring with Jake the Snake a little bit. Could you tell more on that?
Sure, she was actually a circus rescue from some circus folk that couldn't keep her for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure. And her name is Lover Girl. That was her given name. That was the name that she had when I got her. So I didn't name her. And yeah, she's been with me for a long, 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 long time. So I used to date this circus girl she was like a dancer for Molly Crew, and she was like a Cirque du Soleil style performer. And she essentially rescued Lover Girl. And then when we were dating, then I ended up kind of, you know, inadvertently rescuing Lover Girl. And then when we broke up, weirdly, my wife to be uh, rescued Lover Girl. I think I moved back to Florida, and the snake was still with my ex, and she couldn't handle it. Are you there? Hello?
Yes. Hi.
Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Can't hear you. Hello, hello.
No?
Testing, testing. Is this thing on?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Are you there? I can see you.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello?
Can't hear you. Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me now?
And I'm assuming you can hear me since you could hear me saying I could hear you.
Yep.
I'm going to do the math on that and say that we can hear each other.
Yep.
Have you just been recording this whole time? It's going to cut this out and keep on going?
Yes.
Okay. Where was I? Talking about rescuing. So I rescued Lover Girl. She's an 8-foot python. Rescued her from a couple of circus people that couldn't take care of her anymore for whatever reason. And she's actually been with me for years and years. She's been with me since about 2012. So I've had her for a very long time. She's a good girl. And I didn't name her. That was the name she came with.
Cool. Yeah. So I know outside of wrestling, you make custom wrestling figure, LGN wrestling figures. What made you get into starting to do that, and when did you realize you could do that type of work that you do?
I'm sorry, say that again.
When did you
I
start?
couldn't hear you.
When did you wanted to make those, and when did you realize that you could?
So I've always been an artsy fartsy guy, whether it was painting, drawing, sculpting, tattooing, writing, all that kind of stuff. Just anything creative, anything sort of any artistic outlet I liked. Again, I think that's why wrestling really spoke to me, because it was athletic, but it was more than that. It was storytelling, and it was good and evil, and superheroes and supervillains. And so making those toys. So when I was growing up, I grew up with Ed and Christian and little kids in Canada, and we would play with those rubber LJN toys, and we would just pistol whip the crap out of each other with them. And you know, that was kind of how we would argue over who was going to win, and we would put cards together and this and that. So making those things is sort of the stuff of nostalgia. But I started making them, not to sound like too aggressive or anything, but when the pandemic started and politicians told us we could not go out and about and feed our families, especially like I wasn't allowed to wrestle. There was no wrestling shows. You couldn't travel. You couldn't whatever. So I had to feed my family somehow. So at first I kind of was, while I was sitting on a bit of a nest egg, I made those toys just as the distraction. Then I would post them online and people would like them. and offered me, hey, can I buy those? And I said, maybe, yeah, sure. I think, yes, you can. So that hobby kind of turned into a side hustle pretty quick. And since I couldn't make my income wrestling, I started selling those figures online. How it kind of would work is like I would make something that I just chose to make, like for myself, like as fan art, because
Yeah.
I'm a fan of wrestling. So let's just say I made a Sergeant Slaughter just for myself. I would post it, and people go, "Oh, that's cool. Could you make me?" And I had lots of indie guys and girls kind of line up to get action figures made of themselves. Because you could go to a store and you could buy a Sergeant Slaughter action figure, but you can't go to a
Right.
store and buy certain like different indie wrestlers and so forth. And so that's kind of how that all got started, and I still do it to this day.
Nice.
And then
Yeah.
just like you asked me earlier about the evolution of Sinn Bodhi and Kizarny and all that stuff, and always morphing. So same thing with those toys. I figure out new ways to kind of do stuff. And first, I kind of chop the heads off a little rubber ones that were all kind of chewed up and whatever, and I cast some old heads and this and that, and then I eventually got into 3D sculpting, and now I pretty much do everything like head to toe on 3D sculpting and 3D print and everything. But I'm always learning new tricks. I'm always figuring out new stuff. Just like in life, you figure out stuff every day. You learn and you learn and you do and you do and you learn.
Yep. I think you do an amazing job at those figures.
Thank you.
Do you plan on ever maybe like starting a company out of them and ever getting bigger with them and selling them into like a whole website?
Right now, I'm just sort of just one guy in a garage, but I would certainly not be opposed if Triple H or Tony Khan or somebody like that, or some executive from some toy company wanted to hire me to make a line of toys for them or whatever. So Mr. Triple H, if you're listening, I'm happy to, make some toys for your wonderful company. Been a fan since I was a kid, so I would love to do that. Remember Edge actually
Yeah.
joking with me one day. He's just like, "Man, if you could make these things when we were kids, we would have never left the house." Like, he's like, "Oh, could you make this guy? Could you make that guy? The ones that were never made in the first place, and just let our little kids' imaginations kind of run amok." So yeah, I would certainly be down with you know making these for in an official capacity for some company or not.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would be great because there's a lot of wrestling figures of wrestlers that we don't have, and like a lot of like the wrestlers that didn't get noticed much that could definitely get used as
Well,
figures.
the obscure guys. It's almost like finding like an obscure baseball card or something like that. Yeah, it
Right.
would just be a neat way to have some nostalgia, or because some guys were maybe a flash in the pan, or just whatever. Maybe they got hurt too soon, or there are a lot of different reasons why woulda, shoulda, coulda guys never got the ring time they maybe could have or should have or what have you. Nobody deserves anything, so like it's just like I would kind of say like I don't want to say like the guys that deserve it. We're just a bunch of people who run around with flying rock. We don't deserve anything except what we go hunt after and earn. So it is what it is. But like a good friend of mine, Gangrel, he would always say that wrestling owes me nothing; I owe it everything. So making those figures makes some people happy and helps me put food on the table. Then that's a win-win, and I'll take that.
Right. Yep. When you watched wrestling as a kid, who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Definitely Jake the Snake, Roddy Piper, George Steele, Macho Man. I liked a lot of the bad guys. I got mad at the bad guys, and I wasn't exactly sure. Like as a little kid, you kind of you're looking at it in more altruistic, naive terms, innocent terms. You're like, oh, it's a bad guy. I hate that guy. But you don't realize that he was fun to hate. So guys like
Right.
Adrian Adonis or Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton's dad, guys like that. Um, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Bobby the Weasel. He used to get me so mad as a kid. And I remember it was maybe I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. We were at Cauliflower Alley, which is like an old timer kind of wrestling convention in Las Vegas. Cowboy Bob walked into the room, and my wife was sort of awestruck by him, And she was just like, when you're nervous and you just kind of blurt out something silly because you just don't know anything better to say. And she just looks at
Yeah.
him and was just like, Mr. Orton, sir, I'd just like to introduce you to my wife, Karen, and who was aptly named, by the way. And she just kind of blurts out, she goes, "You used to really make me angry when I was a kid." And Bob just kind of giggled and went, "I'm doing my job." And he giggled and we had a chuckle at it and stuff. And yeah, I was a big Cowboy Bob fan. Uh, Buddy Rose, Adrian Adonis, and then as I kind of got a little older and could appreciate kind of what was going on, I really liked like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. As a kid, I just couldn't stand them, but as a young wrestler and as a younger guy, I really understood what they were up to, and it was a lot of fun for me. Sorry, I'm moving around. I'm all fidgety. I got a little chihuahua on my lap. I guess I might stealing the show. So everybody in the interesting net that is watching this is Champy. He is one of our newest rescues at the Funny Farm here. We got him from this kill shelter in San Bernardino, which was just awful. Like to walk through those places, broke my heart 1,000 times over. And I actually went to go rescue this little blind poodle girl, but they were so backlogged and they weren't updated or whatever. So by the time I got there, I guess she was rescued by somebody else. Well, that's great. That's good. And then so I just asked the person that was working there. I said, "Who's the dog that has been here the longest? Who like nobody wants?" And they pointed me in the direction of this little guy, and he is awesome. He is so sweet. He's so good, and he was pretty much emaciated to the point of having neurological problems. Like he was so starved and dehydrated that I think when your brain and your body gets so dehydrated, there's not a full coming back from that. Like there's a bit of damage. So he does these little runny and circle kind of things, and he hasn't had a seizure in a little while, but he had a couple of seizures when I first got him because he was so starved. And you can't just let them just eat everything under the sun. They have to kind of feed them at a pace so they don't overdo it and hurt themselves even more. And he's just the sweetest little dude. I don't think anybody was like mean to him. Like a lot of my rescues have come from bad situations, but I'm guessing he was probably somebody's loved dog at one point because he's very affectionate. Like he knows how to be affectionate and appreciates affection. So I think maybe he was like stray, just got lost or something. Is what I'm guessing. What I'm hoping that some person is missing him, but didn't know how to find him wherever he wound up. But they said he was there for months and months, and he wouldn't eat. Like he was so emaciated and frail and scared. But as soon as we locked eyes, we were buddies. I was just like, "All right, little dude, I'm going to jailbreak you out of this place. Let's get the heck out of here." And so he drove me from San Bernardino through Death Valley to my home, and he sat in the truck with me and listened to my glam rock and my southern rock, and liked it. And he hung out with me, and we wandered over some Slim Jims and some other stuff, and he's been vigilantly by my side ever since. Is that right, little man? Yeah. And so we named him. So my parents had a horse that just recently they had to put him down because he was in a lot of pain. He had a stroke as a vet botched some stuff with him. Like it was like the vet's stupid fault. She's an idiot. And so this horse of 24 years, had to go to that pasture in the sky, and his name was Champy. So I got this guy a couple of days later, so we named him Champy. So Champy's spirit, his horse, his stallion spirit lives on in this funny little Chihuahua, who is, I think, weirdly, he looks like, he reminds me, what's up, man? Come here, let me show you. Look at you. Look how gorgeous you are, buddy. He reminds me of like a tiny itty bitty little Great Dane mixed with like a hummingbird or something. Like he's like flies all over the darn place.
Right.
And, so yeah, he's a like a hummingbird-sized Great Dane. So I would look at maybe he's got part praying mantis too. He's got the long legs, and he likes to use his karate on me when he wants to cut him in the morning. He'll jump on my head and go like, "Cut me, bro." So there you go.
Yeah. Is he one of the Chihuahuas that like to ankle bite, or is he like all friendly and kind?
He's super, super duper sweet to me and my wife, and he likes. We've got this other little blind poodle boy, a little terrier poodle thing called. We named him Rambo, and he gets along really good with Rambo. He wants to play with Rambo. Sometimes Rambo gets annoyed, We have another little old Chihuahua that we rescued too. She's got like cysts and different stuff all over. She was one of those ones that just nobody wanted. She was one of the deplorables, which makes me so mad. But so we got her and Rambo at the same time, and so he hangs out with them and he gets along with them, and he gets along with most of the cats. And a couple of cats he wants to chase, but the cats just look at him like, "Bro, you're the size of a frog. Get out of here! Like, we'll kick your ass." So nobody's too worried about it. And but he's really playful. He's really sweet, and yeah, he's a funny little guy. He's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool because my mom loves watching this dog show that this guy sits at the shelter and talks stories about these dogs, and he has people help rescue them, and he just tells the stories about them, and he helps the dogs, and he brings them on like trips, and he
That's awesome.
helps them out and stuff. And she also watches this farm show where Longhorn Lester in Texas, I'm pretty sure, and he does like he has like this whole farm, and he takes care of his animals. He does these YouTube videos all the time, and so it's pretty cool.
That's why I think the internet is best served with little cutesy animal videos. I was sitting on an airplane on the fly out a couple weeks ago, and I'm usually flying just about every week somewhere to go wrestle. And so I was on an airplane. I want to say maybe I was going to Denver, I think. And I was sitting next to this dude, and I just felt the need just to kind of share what I was looking at for whatever silly reason. And I showed him it was like a porcupine eating like a pineapple or something. He's making all those funny, cute little squeaky noises. And I just looked at him. I said, this is what the internet should be for. Not all this like political, divisive, hatred or whatever. It should be all about little duckies and kittens and platypuses and sloths and stuff like that. And he just kind of giggled. He looked at me and he goes, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was to the effect of like, I'm kind of surprised the dude that looks like you would be such a little animal, like a cutesy animal guy. And I said, book by its cover, bro. And he was just like, all right. And we just had this nice little, one of those little Fight Club disposable friendship conversations, And
You're right.
Nice conversation, but it was cool that we were talking about stuff. And yeah, I think like turn on my phone, and I way rather see some cute little sloth cuddling up with a baby sloth, or like a little dog doing like I could watch those cutesy little dog videos and deer videos and all that. So I could watch that all day.
Right.
I think like all my critters, they bring me such a peace that I don't get from any humans. Not a single damn human. I love my wife, I love my kid, but nothing brings me peace like these little critters.
Right.
My wife is beautiful and smart and funny and loyal and sexy and clever. But she's loud and she's mean, and this guy's not loud and mean at all. My cat's not loud and mean at all. So they don't yell at me to take the garbage out or do the dishes or do whatever I'm supposed to do, as a man. They just
right, there we go.
They just want me to pet them and feed them, and that's it.
Yeah, you can just lay down and they'll lay down next to you and keep you warm.
That's right. And I don't know if you can see. Do you see the little mark on my forehead? See a little gig mark that I've got? I don't know if you can see that, or so all your viewers. I mean, there's a few on there, but there's like a fresh one where you can kind of see it's. I don't know if you can see from the little screen or whatever. But so I was.
Yeah, because I don't have my glasses on.
It's okay. So I was in bed this morning, and he was like, "Wake up, wake up, wake up!" And he gave me the karate chops like on the forehead, like he was just doing this to like play. And he literally like he Ric Flaired me, he gigged me, and I just had to laugh that he busted me open just because he was just trying to be sweet and play and like just wake me up so I could like. So he like curled up and like spun and like just sat like right on my head, but not before he gave me karate chop, and he busted me open.
Yeah. So your dog was beating you up. He was fighting you too.
Yeah. My dog works snug. Yeah.
So, who were some of the wrestlers that helped you train to get into the business?
So I originally got my basics training from Ron Hutchinson in Toronto at Sully's Gym, same place as Edge and Christian. I actually trained with Stratus and Gail Kim, and a bunch of other big,
Okay.
huge dudes, but they all got kind of beat up and washed out. Like Ron kicked the shit out of all of them. And the only ones who were left were me, Trish, and Gail. And then I sort of buddied up with Jake the Snake, and he became my mentor and friend and coach. And to this day, he's a very close friend of mine. He even officiated my wedding. And then early, I went to OVW, and I got to learn under Rip Rogers, Al Snow, and Robert Gibson. And then when I went to FCW, got to learn under Dr. Tom Pritchard and Dusty Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat, Norman Smiley, Steve Kern. So I've got a pretty darn good pedigree of teachers. And when I was at TNA, I really I learned a lot from Shane Douglas and Wolfie D and Raven and Jim Mitchell and Jeff Jarrett. Like all those guys they really taught me a lot. Kid Cash, Pat Tanaka.
Yeah.
A lot of guys really, really just taught me a lot. So yeah, I think you have to be kind of an idiot to not learn from those guys. Those guys were all amazing.
Right. You got a lot of the greats to train with. So, to be in the ring.
Well, I tell young
them,
guys that like when you're wrestling me, whether I'm doing a seminar at some show, wherever, or I'm wrestling, some up and coming good guy or bad guy, wherever. Like I'm one of those weird unicorn age guys where like when you lock up with me, you're locking up with like the 80s and the 90s. Like a lot of young guys that are very talented these days. They're not old enough to have wrestled with some of those greats from that era, where I'm in that weird age, like, like me and like Hurricane and Scotty Too Hottie and guys like that are in that weird age bracket where we wrestled a lot of those 80s guys, but still young enough that we can get down to new talent. So when you wrestle somebody like me, what you're getting is like that osmosis, that conduit in time, like you're getting that time machine. Because when young people are studying, they're like the wrestling gods on YouTube or whatever, they can see it and perceive, they can hear it, perceive, they can't touch it. So when you lock up with me and you kind of feel like the tricks of the trade from that era, and I'm that sort of bridge. I'm that Jeet Kune Do. I'm like not old school, not new school. I'm like the bridge in between. So I think I'm become useful in that capacity, helping out people.
Of course, yeah.
Speaking of those little chicks I was telling you about, I think I told you about Hawk and Animal. You can hear them peeping in the back. So I'll get going pretty soon. It's probably time for me to feed them. I don't want to get them to get mad. There's a couple of
All right, yeah.
Sometimes they're literally like hopping mad. They're in like a baby pen inside.
Right.
I don't know. I think I mentioned it. I'm pretty sure I did. If I did,
yeah.
Sorry, it dropped my
head.
In
the beginning.
But yeah, so their mom and two of their siblings, they met the circle of life to a bobcat. So these two little critters came inside because here in Death Valley, it can be nice in the daytime, but it gets really cold at nighttime.
Right.
That's why it's not called Cozy Valley. I don't know. Living conditions can be harsh out here. So in the summertime, it'd be fine because the chicks would have there's plenty of chicken runs and little, chicken houses and stuff for them to stay in. But right now it's so cold that they've got to be inside and their heat lamp and all that kind of stuff. So I can hear them hopping, and when I walk in, they're like beep beep beep, and they're jumping up and down like, "Feed me, MFer! Come on, man! Come on, old man!" So
right.
So I will go pretty soon so I can go feed little Hawk and Animal. I don't need to angry.
All right, yeah. So what else
you want to throw at me before I got to go feed my little chickadees?
All right. So, yeah. What was your reaction to getting released from your WWE contract, and what did you see coming next for your career?
I was stupefied. I didn't know why. I was getting good responses from the fans, from the producers. To this day, I really don't have closure on it because I don't know. I just don't know. It's like breaking up with somebody you never know why. You just all of a sudden you're broken up with. You have no clue why. But since then, I've been back. I've coached there plenty of times. I've coached at the PC in Orlando, and so they trust me to do that. I've got my fingerprints on a lot of wrestlers that are on TV to this day. From Solo Sikoa to Zoe Stark, Karrion Kross, Bray Wyatt, rest his soul. A lot of different guys. Chris Bay, who is so everybody watching, please put some prayers on in the galaxy. Whatever you pray to, whatever you just put some good vibes out into the ether. Chris Bay, because he's a sweet kid, and he's got a brutal injury to overcome. He's got a big battle ahead of him. So hopefully he'll conquer that. He's a tough kid, and a sweet kid. So hopefully he does. But just what's up, Rambo? I can hear my little blind poodle is upset about something. What's wrong, man? You like Chris Bay too? Yeah, me too. Yeah. So a lot of these guys, Crazy Steve, Angelina Love, there's a lot of guys that I've got my whatever you want to call it, fingerprints on, as far as like teaching and so forth, helping out in some shape or form. So that I'm very, 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 very proud of all that.
For sure. Yeah. So to finish out the interview.
And how could I forget one of the very first, if not the first, WWE ID, like the kind of talents is Ice Williams, one of my kids. So I'm very, very happy for him, and trying to sort out a couple others as we speak. So we will see. I don't want to jinx anything. So keep your little fingies crossed.
Right. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Do you see yourself possibly going back to WWE at some point in your career?
I mean, I'd wrestle for them in a heartbeat. I mean, I think any wrestler that says they wouldn't is a total liar. But I think what is more likely is being a coach or a producer, which I would love to do that. So again, like I really have super duperly enjoyed my time coaching at the PC. It was awesome. Certainly love to do that again. So again, Triple H, if you're listening, here I am, brother.
Yep. I know they were taking some bookings for to do like backstage work a while ago. So
yeah, I mean, if Triple H called me and said, "Hey, I want you to wrestle," I'd say, "Yes, sir." I would have no problem doing that.
Right.
But I think that like AEW is a little bit more by the fly by the seat of their pants kind of thing, like where there's super young guys, there's middle guys, there's older guys. Where WWE really likes to have like the younger talent, But I think there comes some big time strength with having some seasoned wrestlers. Like in the old days, we used to call them carpenters. Like the old crotchety wrestlers would build the young guys, hence called carpenters. Like all the guys that would build up the different wrestlers for Hulk Hogan, the guys that would feed Hulk Hogan in the main event were carpenters. Like Cowboy Bob would get guys ready, or Jake the Snake would get guys ready, just so put somebody against Hogan. They're building guys.
Yeah.
I would be happy to do that.
Definitely. I think in AEW, you with Ryzen and Abaddon, would be a great faction.
I'd be happy to do that. I think Ryzen is a great guy. Really, really like Ryzen. I've never met Abaddon, but I think she's neat to look at. She's got an interesting aura and all that stuff. I mean, I could see how that would be a nice fit.
Yeah.
What do you think, Champy? What do you think? You know?
So, to finish off the interview, what is one thing you would tell your wrestling fans that have been supporting you from the start and now still supporting you? And
I would say thank you very much. You all help me live my dreams by buying tickets to see me or buying merchandise, whether it's wrestling toys or 8x10s or T-shirts or just buying tickets just to watch the show. Thank you very much for letting me live my dreams and see this wonderful planet. And it is my absolute privilege to, as some of the wrestlers would say, put smiles on faces. I think the real people of planet Earth, the single mom waitresses, the truck drivers, the first responders, all the people that just make planet Earth spin deserve to be entertained. And me and Champy are here to do that. So it is my absolute privilege. got to put smiles on Earthlings' faces. That's what I put on Planet Earth to do. And championship show. Why not? What a great way to close is to get a good view of Champy's rear end. So there you go. He's like, hey, check out my butt.
Yep. And then one final quick question is, do you have any advice for me to become a wrestler?
My advice for anybody to become a wrestler is do the work, become the first you and not the 8,675th, guy in a beard, clean cut guy, this guy, that guy, in a pair of sparkly undies or some kick pads, whatever. Don't be just another human. Be the first you. Don't try to be a bargain basement so-and-so. Don't try to be a knockoff Shawn Michaels, a knockoff AJ Styles, a knockoff Road Warriors. Try to be the first. Try to be the first you. That's the enigma. That's the riddle there. And that's for young up-and-comers to. He likes to play in my beard. That's for up and coming aspiring wrestlers to kind of figure out what is like Arn Anderson's mouth to my ears. There is no formula for X Factor. There is no set mold for what a wrestler needs to be. Like, for instance, if you took Rey Mysterio, Gangrel, King Kong Bundy, AJ Styles, Road Warriors, Jake the Snake, Macho Man, Roddy Piper, Triple H, Kane, Undertaker, you put them all in a lineup. They all look night and day different. They're all unique entities onto their own. With Rey Mysterio, for example, like there's 1,000 luchadors out there, but there's only one Rey Mysterio. There's 1,000 creepy guys out there, but there's only one Undertaker. It's a bunch of guys in Judas Priest jammies, but there's only one tag team, the Road Warriors. Stuff like that. So just whoever you are, whatever you got to work with, look in the mirror, see what's doable, push your strengths forward, hide your weaknesses, and become the first best version of you.
Yes, appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I thank you for taking your time out to do this interview again. And it's a pleasure to have you on here once again.
Thank you very much.
Also joined by
Champy.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, guys, take care. Wherever you are on planet Earth, be safe, be smart, be kind.
All right, have a good rest of your night.
Take care, guys.